The NFL free agency is basically ending, it's basically over. And the Tennessee Titans, while we've made a couple of moves, we really haven't solved the main issue with our team, which is the issue of quarterback. Quarterback is where we have the biggest hole in our entire offense. And if we haven't solved it in free agency, which I would have rather us did, aka the Justin Fields video, I would have liked us to have Justin Fields, but we didn't do it, which means we're going to have to go towards the draft and get our quarterback right there. What's up, guys? It's your boy Black Tiger Talks, and I'm here to talk about football. More specifically, I'm here to talk about the Tennessee Titans and who's supposed to be our quarterback next year. Now, the issue right now is that we have two main quarterbacks that everyone's talking about. We have the number one overall pick and two quarterbacks that could be our pick. And of course, we could always instead draft someone like a Dual Carter from Penn State and get a quarterback later. But I'd rather us trade back if we're going to not get a quarterback with that pick. But who knows? The same idea of us staying in place and, picking someone, that's going to have to be someone like right now everyone's talking about Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur from Colorado and Cam Ward from Miami. And there's a problem with both of those picks. I'll be honest with you. I've never really liked either one of those picks. Would they be better than the current, Will Levis situation? For certain. I think they both are better prospects coming out of college than Will Levis was or ever has been. That said, I'm not too excited for them because Will Levis actually had a good deal of talent and a good deal of potential. And it wasn't a great potential, but it had some. I think they have some potential as well, but their potential really peters out around the top 15, top 10 quarterback at best. Top 10 is stretching it. Top 15 is probably the actual ceiling that they have in the NFL at the moment. They're not, world beaters talent-wise. Now, they could become better. They could become, a Brock Purdy type of guy who has anticipation, has all those intangibles, anticipation I mentioned before. They could have, the ability to read the field super well. And they could really, play much better than their physical talent that they currently have. But that is always a kind of, not a pipe dream, but it's always the hope of any quarterback prospect that you get, that they'll eventually grow into the position and learn other things and become much better at the game. And that simply is something that most quarterbacks in the league just don't do. Most quarterback prospects never do, and a couple of them do that. But the issue is that we are in the AFC South. And if you look at the AFC South, what you got over there, you got a whole bunch of different really great high potential quarterbacks in that division. You got Anthony Richardson, the 6'5" guy who runs a 4.5. He's 230, 240, and he's a rocket of an arm. So he has all the physical traits to eventually become an absolute monster at the position. So if he can learn the intangible stuff, which we're hoping our guys learn, and our guys, of course, that we have the two options for Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Neither one of those guys are incredibly, physically talented, anywhere near close to that. So basically, him, if he wants the same thing they do, he has more potential to be a top 5, top 10 quarterback, ultimately speaking. And then you have people like CJ Stroud and Trevor Lawrence. Both of those guys, these 6'5", 6'6", master players, number one overall type prospects. Both of them have, big time arms, have an arm that can make all the arm angles. They have mobility, they have pocket presence. Now, both of them have had struggles, just like Anthony Richardson has had, but their potential is, world class. They have world class, number one in the league type potential, and at the very least top 5 potential they have. And that's something that you're going to need to have in our division. That's not even counting the guys outside of our division right now. You're inside of our conference. We got guys walking around like Patrick Mahomes. You have to go through Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs if you want to go to the Super Bowl. You got to go through guys like Lamar Jackson, like Joe Burrow, like Josh Allen. Those guys are incredible players, and the idea that you can just get through them with a mediocre quarterback is something that's probably not going to happen. Is it possible? Yes. Nothing's impossible, but it's not super likely. You oftentimes going to have to do these massive shootouts with a quarterback of that talent level, and basically neither Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, based on what I can tell of the film, and they're just not on that level when it comes to raw talent. Of course, they could learn to be these incredible quarterbacks like any other quarterback could do, learn the intangibles, the reading of the defense, the anticipation part, the ability to know the playbook off the back of your hand. All these things could be learned later on, but that's not something that they have right now for the most part. Now, I will mention that Cam Ward does have much better anticipation coming out of college than most quarterbacks do. I know Alex Rollins made a really good video breaking down how good he is at anticipating open space and open receivers. And so he throws the ball before, he has to see someone open, which is one of the biggest problems that college prospects typically have. But at the same time, his other skills are so not lackluster. Again, these are middle of the road skills, B+ skills. And they're not A+, they're not top tier talent skills, and because of that, I'm not too excited about it. Again, if we were to draft him, I would be kind of happy, because I'd still like to see a new quarterback of the team. It still has potential, Any quarterback has potential when you draft him, but at the same time, I don't think that he's worth a number 1 overall pick, and I don't think Shedeur is worth a number 1 overall pick. I think Shedeur has similar skills. He seems to be good at reading defenses pretty well at this age. He can go through his reads pretty well, and I think that he would be a solid quarterback on a team that was already ready to go to the Super Bowl, that was already just needed one last piece as a quarterback. But ultimately speaking, when you look at it, you can't really compare him to previous quarterbacks. Even previous quarterbacks from just last year, they both would have been like 5th or 6th picks, let alone top tier guys. But there is a third choice that I started to look into recently that's starting to get some buzz, especially because of his pro day. And that guy is Jalen Milroe, and from Alabama. And he's a really interesting QB prospect. He is the exact opposite of those guys. Those guys, Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, have incredibly high floors. Their floors are absolutely amazing. That at the very least, you're probably going to get a, low-level starter, a top 20, quarterback, a top 25 quarterback at the very least. You're not going to have an absolute bum under center, most likely. That is where their typical floor is at. While Milroe is the exact opposite. He's a boom or bust prospect. He's not at all safe type of pick. He's the exact opposite. He's a much more exciting pick. He's 6'4". He just ran a 4.37, so he has the speed. We know he has a big-time arm. If you look at his highlights, he's able to throw the ball anywhere. He has a big-time arm. He has, that speed I just mentioned that can make him run away from defenders. He has elusiveness. He has some pocket presence. He has a lot of these, raw traits, but his ability to read the defenses, his ability to, go through his reads is really underdeveloped right now. His decision-making is also pretty underdeveloped, and it doesn't look great. So he's going to need some time to develop as a player. So if we were to draft him, you'd have to do the idea of either let him sit for an entire year, or instead of letting him sit for a year, you're going to have to put him in there, but run like read option almost every play, run very QB-friendly plays. Treat him like he was Jalen Daniels from last year. Treat him like, they did Lamar Jackson his first year. But you have a lot of potential there. At the same time, he does not have enough potential to draft a number 1 overall. You never draft a player number 1 overall over potential alone. You need to have at least a solid floor, a floor that's actually pretty high. It's not just a boomer bust prospect in order to draft number 1 overall. So if we drafted Jalen Milroe number 1 overall, I'd be angry. I'd be unhappy. I think the only thing you can do is trade back further, and then with a whole bunch of more picks under your belt, then you can use one of those picks on Jalen Milroe and use other picks to fix the rest of the team. The one issue the rest of the team that we haven't fixed yet, that we were supposed to fix in free agency, but we haven't, is the receiver room. Our receiver room isn't good right now, and I'll go into that further in another video. But yeah, I think that our team is not set up for success currently. That said, we have to get the main position, fixed. The quarterback is the number 1 priority right now. Get that, then we can focus on getting receivers, whether it be someone in free agency or it be an actual receiver from the draft. I'd say draft multiple receivers, but I'll go into my prospects on that later. For now, that's all I gotta say. Like and subscribe to the video for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.